Can you hear that? Once upon a time, there was a lady named Rabia. Rabia lived in a desert city named Basra, and she would walk around the city looking to find people who she could help. Now, one day, as she was walking through the market, she could hear something from a distance. It sounded like somebody was screaming and somebody was shouting. And so, because Rabia heard this, she thought to herself, wow, I need to get closer. I need to see what is happening. So Rabia started going closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to the sound until finally she could make it out. It was a man. He was yelling at the top of his lungs. He was saying, Ya Allah, oh Allah, what have you done? Oh Allah, what have you done? And so Rabia got closer and saw that this man had a bandage around his head. She went to the man and said, oh man, what happened to you? He says, well, I'm having a headache. My head is hurting so bad, and so because of that, I am complaining. I'm saying, Ya Allah, what have you done to me? And so Rabia thinks for a moment. She says, has your head always been hurting, or did it just start hurting today? He said, it just started hurting today. She said, has your head ever hurt before? He said, no, my head has never hurt before. And she said, in that time when your head had never been hurting throughout your entire life, had you ever gone across the market, screaming at the top of your lungs, saying, oh, Allah, thank you. Oh, Allah, thank you. Oh, Allah, thank you. And the man said, no, I never did. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the reason why I am sharing this story about gratitude is because today on our episode of Around the World Storytime, in which we meet some of the most amazing Muslim authors around the world, we are going to be reading a very special book about counting our blessings. But before we get started, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Amin Asr, and I am the author of Noor Kids. And today, inshallah, with the assistance of Helping Hands in Relief and Development, join me in welcoming our author extraordinaire for today. Her name is Lela Goldsmith.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you, Sister Lela?
I am doing fantastic. How about you?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. I am just counting my blessings. I am counting my blessings. Now, Lela, you are not from the United States of America. Are you from the United States of America, Sister Lela?
Actually, I am from the United States of America, but my dad is American, my mom is Kenyan, and
It
now I
is
live
no
in the
different.
United Kingdom.
Farm. All the animals come running.
You live in the United Kingdom?
Yeah.
Whoa, but I don't hear an accent. Aren't you supposed to say water, park the car, go to drink the water? Isn't that how people are supposed to sound, or no?
I know my kids sound like that, but I don't.
Wow, so from Kenya to the US all the way to the UK. Wow, that is amazing. Well, that sounds I'm so excited to inshallah read one of the stories that you've written. It's called Bibi's Blessings. Can you tell us a little bit about why you wrote this book?
Yeah, I can. So Bibi is a Swahili word which means grandmother, and it's based on my life, my childhood that I spent with my grandmother back in Kenya. And she was such an amazing woman. And even though she's no longer here with us, she left such a profound impact in my life. So I wanted to share a little bit about her blessings with the world. I wanted to share what my experiences with her, with the world. So the character Bibi is actually the character, it's modeled after my own grandmother in
Wow,
Kenya.
mashallah, mashallah. So, my mom, Shaheen, she passed away a couple of years ago, and I even think about all the work that we do with Noor Kids, being focused on, like in her memory and also in appreciating her. And so, alhamdulillah, I really appreciate that story. Now, so in Kenya, how old were you when you lived there?
So I lived there. We kept going back and forth between. I spent some time in Kenya, spent some time in the United States as a child, but I lived with my grandmother uh, until I was around six-ish, and then I went back after high school and lived with her again.
Wow.
And yeah, so been on
S-
and off with
So how
her.
many languages do you speak?
I actually speak two proficiently,
Okay,
but
and
Swahili and English.
Swahili and English. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, well, without further ado, Sister Layla, I would love to see this book, inshallah. So while you're grabbing the book and preparing for the story time, I want to just remind our viewers that this program is made possible through the support of Helping Hands and Relief and Development. As you are getting ready during this month of Ramadan to think about your zakat, we ask you to consider HHRD as a place to sponsor orphans, to provide COVID-19 relief, and a whole host of other works. And they do work all around the world, and I believe including in places like Kenya. So with that, Sister Layla, take it away. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, so this is the book, and it's called Bibi's Blessing. And I'll start now. I walked towards the town square with a basket full of warm mofas on my head. My Bibi makes the mofas, and my job is to sell them. Everyone here has mofas at tea time, and everyone agrees that Bibi's mofas are the best. I'm in a hurry today because I have to get back home early so I can visit my best friend Amina after supper. Amina's grandmother is visiting from Nairobi and she's brought her a bag full of toys. I can't wait to see all her shiny new things. I hope she might even let me have something to keep. A loud bray startles me. Do you see that?
Oh, wow.
As the donkey walks by, I trip over a stone, and the basket on my head tumbles down, scattering all the mofas all over the ground.
Uh-oh.
I pick them up one by one and place them back on the basket. They're covered in dust. I begin to cry as I realize I can't sell them anymore. Bibi works so hard to make the mofas. First, she grinds sorghum on a big slab of stone to make it into a paste. Then she pats the paste into rounds and slaps them inside a hot brick oven to cook. She does this all morning to make more than 100 mofas. Do you see the little oven? The stone oven on the floor. Now I'll have to return home with an empty purse. How will Bibi be able to buy sorghum to make more mofas? See, Bibi's waiting for the character at the door. When I get home, Bibi doesn't even ask me what happened. She dumps the dusty mofas in a large pot and wipes the basket clean. And then, just like every day, she says, "Thank God for this blessing." A purse full of coins is a blessing, but how is a pot full of dusty mofas a blessing? I need to get ready to visit Amina, so I don't bother asking Bibi to explain. While we're eating supper, the lights make a buzzing and crackling sound and then they go out. I run to the window and see that the entire neighborhood has gone dark. "I hate it when there's no electricity," I shout. "Now I can't even visit Amina." See how dark it is in the neighborhood? There's no electricity. "Quiet, mwanangu. You'll disturb our neighbors," Bibi says, fumbling in the dark for candles and matches. When the flame catches on the candle, she looks at me and says, "Thank God for this blessing." How is sitting in the dark a blessing, Bibi? You have to look for the blessings in every situation, my child. Not getting what you want is sometimes also a blessing. I don't have anything else to do, so I decide to wash the dishes. The kitchen is dark, but I know my way around. I fetch some water in a jug to soak the rice pot, but as I'm pouring the water, something doesn't sound quite right. I look closer and gasp. I haven't soaked the empty rice pot. I've soaked the pot full of dusty mofas.
Oh no.
Oh no! Bibi rushes into the kitchen with a candle. She looks puzzled. Why did you pour the water over the mofas? Um, I thought I was soaking the rice pot, I say, tears filling up my eyes again. I'm sorry, Bibi. Everything is going wrong today. She's
Hmm.
really bad. I'm sure mushy mofas will come in handy for something, Bibi says, wrapping her arms around me. Then she whispers into my ear, thank God for this blessing. This is not a blessing, Bibi. What good is a pot of mushy mofas? Hodi! We hear a knock on the door. It's Mr. Bakari, our neighbor. There's no electricity, so all the shops have closed early. My donkeys are hungry, and I've no food to give them. Do you see Mr. Bakari? He's a bit
Hmm.
worried. And see, his donkey is a bit hungry. Bibi runs into the kitchen and comes back out with a pot of mushy mofas. Donkey porridge! Mr. Bakari laughs. He empties the mush into a big plastic bucket and fills Bibi's purse with coins. Bibi has a big smile on her face. Thank God for this blessing, she says.
Wow.
He looks a bit happier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad Bibi's happy we sold the mofas, but I still didn't get to see Amina's new toys. Now there's nothing for me to do but go to bed early and hope Amina will invite me again tomorrow. Bibi's loud snoring keeps me up at night. I toss and turn and cover my ears with my pillow, but I can't fall asleep. When I can't take the noise any longer, I walk over to Bibi's bed. See?
Hmm.
She's covering her ears with her pillow because the noise is so much. I put my hands on her arm to shake her awake, but seeing her tired face makes me stop. Amina's always telling me I'm so lucky to live with my Bibi. She only gets to see her grandmother once a year. I can't even imagine going to bed without kissing Bibi goodnight. Instead of shaking her awake, I bend down to kiss Bibi's forehead. Thank God for this blessing, I say.
Hmm.
The end. This is
Alhamdulillah.
and a picture of Lamu, sorry.
That's a picture of what?
Oh, a picture of Lamu where the book is the setting of the book. It's a small island in Kenya.
And is that where you guys actually lived?
Yeah, that's
Oh
where my
my
grandmother
goodness.
lived. It's very, very tiny.
Oh my goodness. That's really beautiful. Sister Layla, thank you for reading this story for us. Now, it reminds me of so many, like, just amazing lessons. One of the lessons it makes me remind me of is this idea of lots of times when bad things happen, we don't know why they happen, but everything happens for a reason. So there's a story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam and Khidr, where they go on this journey, and first they go onto a boat, and then after that they go into the land, and then after that they go to another city, and Khidr does all of these very funny things, and Prophet Musa alayhi salam is like, why are you doing this? But it turns out there's a reason behind everything that he had done, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in this story, all of these things happen where the main character was thinking to herself, why is this happening? Why is this a blessing? But alhamdulillah, it
Mm-hmm.
ended up working out.
Yeah.
It ended up working out in the end. So, Sister Layla, tell me a little bit about your grandmother. Like, who is your grandmother? Tell us about her.
So my grandmother was this obviously very special woman. She made mofa. if anyone knows anything about East African cuisine, mofa is a small round bread. It's kind of like a pita bread, but it's more dense. So she made mofa for a living, and she sold, and we, the children, the grandchildren, I should say, helped sell the mofa. Now, selling the mofa, my mother and her sisters used to do that. And then when they got older, obviously they left home, and then the children, so Bibi's grandchildren, us, used to help sell her mofa. So Bibi was just this really simple woman, very no frills, but she was the life of the neighborhood, and everyone loved her, and we all loved her, and she was just really, really gentle, very, very, very nice to be around. And I think whenever I think of a hero and a woman that I want to emulate, I want to be like her.
That's amazing. Sister Layla, do you have any children of your own?
I do.
So, when you talk to your children about your grandmother, about Bibi, what are like one or two stories from her life that you share with them or that you want them to know? Because now we have an opportunity to tell a lot of people about your grandmother.
Yeah.
So I'm curious on, perhaps if you have any stories from her life or parts from her life that you'd want to share.
The thing is, I think for me, I think like today in life, we're so caught up with what such and such a person has, what you don't have, and we're just so caught up with this material world. Now, what I tell them, or what I tell my children, is that Bibi had lived in a small house that she used to plaster herself with mud once a year just to maintain the walls.
Wow.
And she didn't have, there was a tap, but wasn't really any running water in the house, so we used to have to go to the well to fetch some water. And she used to go and get her own firewood to fuel her oven with, to cook the mofas with. And whatever money she made, she bought just enough to feed us for that day. But I have never seen anyone richer in my life. Truly, I've never seen anyone richer in my life, because I never once heard her referring to herself as poor. And to me, I look at her and she was just the face of this contentment, in that what's meant to her, what's meant to be for her, will always be for her, and what's not meant to be for her just is none of her business, really. So she's just yeah, she was very much someone who lived in the moment, who was very content with what she had. She never really complained about her life. I never heard her complain about her life at all.
Wow.
And whenever I think of someone who's rich, I always think of my grandmother, but
Wow.
rich not in the material sense, rich in the heart.
Wow, Allahu Akbar, that's really special, and of course when you talk about your grandma, I think about my own mom. It's so funny because, yeah, when we grew up, money was always very tight and it was very difficult. And so I tried never to ask for too much because I knew that it was always going to be difficult for my mom and dad. And so my mom, when I got older, I started to realize that anytime we would ever go shopping to buy anything, say for example, in the US we have something called like Black Friday, and so of course, I'm Pakistani, so when we see a deal we can't pass it up. We're like, oh man, we gotta go buy something, Whenever we would go to buy anything, my mom would buy stuff for my dad, for my brother, for my sister, for me. But she would never buy anything for herself, ever. Just very selfless. And I think the other thing too that I think about my mom as well is that she too was very content, and she was content because of Allah. So my mom unfortunately got this really tough disease called cancer. And it was a really difficult form, and she was very young. She was only 51. And I remember my mom, her outlook was very special. She says, I know that Allah loves me, and I know that Allah cares about me. So whatever Allah does for me, it's like what a mother would do for her own son. And of course, a mother would, treat their son with love, only do what's best. And so because of that, she always felt very content. So, Sister Lela, I have heard that you have a little activity to share with us today.
Yeah, I did. I do. My activity today is called the gratitude jar.
Okay, so what are we looking at?
So this is basically a jar. I am the queen of repurposing things, right? So like this masjid right here is made out of cardboard. We created our own Ramadan masjid.
Nice.
Anyway, so this is like an old jar from like candy from years and years ago. So basically, the concept behind it is that every day you're supposed to write on a little piece of paper what you're thankful for that day. So a little piece of paper like this. Just write what you're thankful for. And you just stick it in the jar, fold it up, stick it in the jar, and close up the jar. And then after either the jar fills up or maybe at the end of the month, you decide when you want to open the jar and kind of like look at the blessings that you've had throughout that period. So if it's like the end of the month or maybe the end of Ramadan or when the jar fills up, it's nice to look back at all the amazing things that have happened.
Yeah,
And
or like when
yeah.
you have a tough day, right? All of us have tough days once in a while, and so once we have a tough day, we can come back. And what I really like about this is something that we can do with the whole family. This is something that I can do, my wife can do, our baby can do. We can all do this together, and then on a tough day, perhaps maybe even before we break our fast, we can have everyone, write down a little note and put it in the jar. That's a wonderful and it's a great idea, and that's something that every single family can do at home, and you can actually do that right now once we finish recording. Now, before we end, though, Sister Lela, I have a activity, all right? And I've been doing this with some of the authors because, as a author, we, sometimes are able to try to get a little bit creative, try to do some things that are a little bit interesting. And so I call it Brainstorming Bonanza, all right? And the way it works is that you and I are tasked with brainstorming, okay? Now, I was thinking... something that would be fun would be to brainstorm names of food because you had shared, what was the name of that food that your grandma used to make?
Mofa?
Mofa. I was going to say mofafa. Not mofafa. Mofa. All right? Mufungo. No, I'm kidding. But so that's like so the idea is for us to brainstorm as many names of foods as we possibly can. All right. Now, I know you're thinking, Lela, you're thinking, well, you are, you are hosting this. So, you've been thinking about names of food. So this isn't fair. So the way we're going to make it fair is that, Sister Lela, you get to think of the first letter of the name. Okay. So based on that letter, we are going to have to brainstorm foods that start with that letter. And once you say the letter, I'm going to put 1 minute on our time clock, and then we're going to get started. So, Sister Lela, what letter are we going to pick?
I'll go with B for Bibi.
B for Bibi, and it's funny because we did A for Asma with Sister Asma. So we'll do that. I'm putting 1 minute on the start, and we're going to start right now.
Okay.
I'm doing well.
Yeah, me too.
Uh-oh. We've got 18 seconds.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Okay.
And we're done. Pencils down, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, moment of truth. All right, Sister Lela, how many did you get?
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Whoa, let's see how many I got. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
That's like a
Woo!
very,
All right,
very slim margin.
but we have to see, because let's see what the judges say with respect to all of these. Why don't you go first, Sister Layla?
Okay, all right. I've got the most obvious one, bread.
Oh, I did not get bread. Allah. Okay.
How can you not get bread? That's like basic.
I should have gotten it. Okay.
Yeah. And then basbousa.
Ooh, basbousa.
Burger.
Ooh, gosh, burger. That's a good one too. I love burgers.
I know. Beans.
Beans.
Banana.
I got banana as well.
I bet you didn't get this one. Black pudding.
Actually, no, I didn't get that. Nope. Is that real? Is black pudding a real thing? Did you make that
real.
up?
I've never had it, but it's real. It's a Scottish delicacy. So.
Is black pudding the same thing as just like eating mud? Because I feel like that's like, black pudding. Anyways, all right, go on.
Well, it's arguable. Buns. I don't know.
I got buns as well, actually.
Brisket.
Ooh, brisket. Oh, man.
And baba ganoush.
Baba ganoush, also very good. Man, those are good. And I'll tell you, as it's Ramadan, I know for you, given that you're in the UK, you still have 1 hour before you can break your fast. And oh, man.
It's started.
Woo! Brisket, baba ganoush, Allahu Akbar. All right, so this is what I got. I got berries.
Oh.
I got biryani. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I got Baskin Robbins, which I don't know if that counts. Baskin Robbins, it's like they make ice cream.
Yeah.
So
Baskin Robbins is a business. It's not really a food.
it's not really a food. Okay, so let's take that one out. All right. So I'm still at 10 so far. I got butter. Okay. Then I did something. I did butternut squash, which is like a type of squash.
It's legit. I love butternut squash.
And then I also did butter chicken. Okay.
Sure.
Then I did butter beef. Then I did butter. No, I'm kidding. I didn't do butter.
You get it. You love butter.
No, I didn't do butter beef. I just did butter chicken. Okay. Then I did beets. I did buns. I did banana. Then I did banana nut Cheerios, which is like a specific flavor of Cheerios. And then, last but not least, for the win, I did baklava. Baklava for dessert.
All right. Love baklava.
Alhamdulillah. Well, Sister Lela Goldsmith, I want to thank you so much for joining me. Now, by the way, if someone wants to grab this book, they can get it at ruqayyasbookshelf.com, right? So that's RUQAYAS bookshelf.com. Under store, they'll be able to find it along with a whole host of other great books. Oh, and by the way, if you want Noor Kids, you can get Noor Kids at noorkids.com. Right now, we're allowing families to try it for $1. Now, Sister Lela, on behalf of myself, author of Noor Kids, Amin Asr, and on behalf of HHRD, Helping Hands for Relief and Development, I want to thank you so much for joining us today for Around the World Storytime.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great fun.
Alhamdulillah, the pleasure was all mine. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, join us at the same time, same place tomorrow as we welcome some of the most amazing storytellers and authors in the Muslim world for Around the World Storytime. On behalf of myself, Amin Asr, and Helping Hands Relief and Development, I want to thank you for joining us. Inshallah, we'll see you later. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.